So the biggest belief that I'm trying to crush here is that it is possible to generate 100% returns. I'm not talking crypto. I'm talking in real estate. Not your 4% in your savings account, not your 10% in the stock market, or even like 6% they talk about over time in rental, like REITs, real estate investment trust. I'm talking 100% economic value. I've done it for over half a decade, and you can too. It is totally possible with just three really powerful nuggets that you need to use. Now, these are not stuff that everyone talks about, but bank hacking. So getting a cash on cash return, putting a small amount in and then generating a huge amount by controlling a big asset. Number two, having a fixer upper, something that should be worth a lot more, but it's heavily discounted. So you're buying it under value. And finally, number three, juicing the rental, getting a way higher return, 2 to 3 times, let's say, a long-term rental, what you get in a long-term rental. So 10,000 a month, totally possible when, let's say, a place is only renting for about 3,000 a month long term. It's all in those three things. It is totally possible that 100% return. Anyone can do it. It's not get rich quick, but it's also not waiting 30 or 40 years, somewhere in between to bring that future to the present. Without further ado, I guess, really the first major thing is a thing called bank hacking. And it's just putting down a small amount. Now, as long as your credit is decent, if you got like 620 plus, you can get in for about 3%. Now, personally, I put in 5%, right? A little bit more. But that was on a $460,000 home. I put $23,000 down. But in terms of even the property, like it was 540,000. Like that's what they wanted for it. But so what happened was I noticed that the price was 540, but it was on the market for almost a year. And it was during the beginning of, I guess, the second year of COVID, like beginning of 2021. Things were kind of locked down. So the seller didn't want anyone coming into their home. I was actually the first to go into their home. And I noticed that they were starting to bring the price down just a little bit. So I kind of smelled like there was blood in the markets. Like I was like, okay, maybe they were going to drop it lower. So I came in with 440, even though they originally wanted 540. And then I came up to 550, but they were coming down, like meeting my offer. And eventually, I think 450, I think I'm good. I think it's pretty good at 450. We just split the difference. We went to 460. So they came down 80, but I went up only 20. What I noticed with the single family homes is that 72% of people are not even shopping around for mortgages. And about 89% of people have their own buyer's agents. Basically, you can think about it like they're not that sophisticated necessarily. You're not competing with the big boys, the 5 unit, 10 unit apartment complexes. These are your moms and your dads. If they see carpet that's disgusting or paint that's a bit, they walk out of the property. So you've got more leverage there. So bank hacking was definitely the first thing. And above and beyond that, like, okay, I paid a bit more, like, 23,000. Sure, that was the down payment. There were a few more closing costs, about 2% of the property value. So just a few extra thousands. But really beyond that, the money I paid was more or less money that would allow me to stay in the property for the next 6 months or a year, like insurance, tax, these kind of things. So really the 23,000 was the down payment. Yeah, it was a bit more, but that was to allow me live there. It wasn't really to acquire the property. So that's the first thing, is getting in a lot lower than you'd otherwise think, bank hacking. The second lever, I guess, that unlocked everything was just finding and fixer upper property. And fixer uppers, in my case, it's cosmetic. I don't want to touch the roof. I didn't want to touch the doors, the windows, the electric, the plumbing. I just wanted paint, countertops like the kitchen, the bathroom, and maybe the flooring too. That's really where it's golden, because look, you can put in like the value you put into the property, the price you pay 460. So I put in about 60 to 70,000 into the property, but really only 30 or 40 of that was renovation. The next 20 or 30 was furnishings, which were extra. And I didn't need to put that money in straight away. This was something I paid over time. Like I wanted to do it up. Like it was already livable, but I wanted to get more value from it. And it actually jumped up in the first few months. I got it reappraised. It almost went up 100,000 in the first 4 months, 5 months. So it came in at 559. Like straight away, that's 20, 30,000 above and beyond what I put into it. So that was pretty quick. That came back really fast. Now, in addition to that, I guess what you're talking about with these low down payments, you're worried maybe, oh, well, Michael, low down payment means mortgage insurance. Yeah, it means a mortgage insurance. But once I reappraised it, I didn't have to pay it, because they suddenly said, well, your property's worth more. So now your equity is higher. Now it's not risky. We can get rid of your mortgage insurance. So that cut my monthly monthly mortgage right there. And I guess everything I did with it, it was cosmetic. It wasn't major renovations, so it was pretty quick to do. Look, I got luxury secondhand furnishings, and that almost steps into the third and final way of making a lot of money in these properties. I did things in terms of getting really, and this is really key, right? Above and beyond just getting your fixer uppers and low down. This is what really separates, I think, a lot of people that talk about this even online is short-term rental aspect. Okay, so I'm making about 9 to 10,000 a month. Now it does fluctuate a little bit. You got to be wary of that. But on average, right, that property is generating more than 100,000 a year. And you might say, well, Michael, you got management fees, you got cleaning fees. Sure, about 20%. And then there's about, there's utilities, there's repair, maintenance, sure, an extra grand or so. But even after all of that, I'm still making 6 to 7,000 a month. And then you think about, okay, well, then you got your mortgage. Okay, sure, even after mortgage, debt servicing, etc., you're still getting 3, 4,000 a month or about 50 grand a year. But here's the beauty is that each year, because I bought in a good area, it's been for half a decade now, it's been going up by about 3% plus a year. In fact, more in my property. So that's an extra 20 to 30,000 a year in terms of your appreciation of the property. It's now close to 700,000, right? Maybe you'd sell it for 650 if you had to. But I got in for 460 just about 4 or 5 years ago now. In addition to that, like there's depreciation, and there you're getting for 27 and a half years, you can write off 20,000 roughly a year in terms of your depreciation. So there's a lot under the water, right? There's a lot under in terms of the iceberg. It really adds to about 100,000 in economic value. Now, I just wanted to stress, in closing that 100,000, that's economic value. So it's not like in the market where you're getting, let's say if you're getting 10% on 100,000, that's 10,000. And then now you got 110. So next year, 10% on 110,000 is 11,000. No, it's not going to go up like that. Okay, it's not going to compound like that. But here's the thing. If you're putting in 23,000 or even after everything like renovation, etc., you're still not in for 100, but you're making 100 back. You can't do that in savings accounts. Imagine putting 100 into a savings account or 100 into the stock market, and getting 100 back. There's no way. So it's really fast. It's not crypto. It's not get rich quick. It's get rich for sure over time. And in just a few years. So rather than the standard, mainstream conventional way of like, oh, in 30 years, 40 years, I'm 70 years old, then I can retire, like the boring index fund way. That's fine. That's grand, not to bash it too much. But this is something that's not short, but it's medium. 5 years, 10 years. You can really accelerate that path. And it's totally, again, just like that, like this video, it's totally free. And something else is totally free is clicking below to download my free guide. I'm sharing everything I learned in this guide. It's packed full of value. It's the short-term rental starter kit. I also have the $10,000 property playbook. Lots of value, gets you into your first rental, and it shows you all of these tips and more that I go into in this video. So really, I hope that you break out and you realize it's not just for the rich. It's not just for people who are super advanced. This is something anyone can do. I did it with my own first property, not theory, in practice, right? Real world experience. I don't like just talking about theory. So again, hopefully you enjoy this and it changes your life because it certainly changed mine.